You have spent years carefully absorbing their chaos, hoping that if you just loved them enough, they would finally see you. You thought your endless patience was a virtue, but in their eyes, it was merely an invitation to exploit your soul. Have you ever wondered what happens when that well of empathy finally runs completely dry? It is not just an end, it is a shift. They count on your tendency to forgive, to look for the hurt child behind their anger, and to rationalize the irrational. They believe your kindness is a structural weakness, a door they can kick open whenever the mood strikes. But what they fail to calculate is the terrifying clarity that arrives the moment you stop caring about the outcome. The game is over. Think about the energy you have poured into them, the silent tears, and the constant navigation of their moods. You were a lighthouse in their storm, yet they only resented your light because it exposed their shadows. When you finally decide that your peace is worth more than their chaos, you are not just walking away, you are withdrawing the oxygen from their fire. There is a specific, heavy silence that falls when an empath reaches their limit. It isn't a scream or a dramatic confrontation. It is a profound stillness where you stop trying to convince them of your value. It is the moment you accept that they are incapable of seeing you, and in that realization, the bond evaporates. You are finally, terrifyingly, free. You might feel guilty for letting it go this far, wondering if you could have been softer or more understanding. So, that guilt is the last vestige of the trap they set for you. It was designed to keep you questioning your reality while they feasted on your grace. Pushing you was their fatal error, because an empath with nothing left to lose is dangerous. They assumed that you were a bottomless resource, a renewable source of validation and supply. They never considered that a human heart has a finite capacity for abuse. When you reach that boundary, it feels like a physical snapping of a tether. You are no longer tethered to their projections, their blame, or their insatiable need for control. You are waking up. This isn't about revenge. It is about the inevitable collision of your reality with their delusion. They built a world where you existed only to serve their ego, a world where your feelings were inconvenient background noise. But you are about to take the microphone back. You are about to show them exactly what happens when the empath decides to exist for themselves. Have you noticed how they panic when you become indifferent? That is not love. That is the sound of a parasite realizing the host is disconnecting. They don't miss you. They miss the reflection you provided. They miss the person who made them feel important. You are about to step out of that mirror, and they have no idea how to exist in the empty space left behind. We are going to walk through the anatomy of this breaking point, the moment where the power shifts from their manipulation to your liberation. This is not for the faint of heart, but if you have been living in the shadows of someone else's ego, you need to hear this. You are stronger than the narrative they wrote for you. It is time to reclaim your true voice. You have been waiting for a sign, for permission to stop holding them up. This is it. This is the moment you realize that your empathy was never a flaw. It was a superpower they were terrified of. As we dive into how they collapse when you stop playing their game, remember, you were never the broken one. You were just the one who was brave enough to finally leave. Why do they push so hard? Because they operate from a place of profound internal emptiness. To them, your empathy is a mirror that proves they are good even when they are being cruel. They need you to validate their distorted sense of self. Without your constant reassurance, they are forced to confront the void within, and that is a terrifying prospect for them. The narcissist doesn't view you as a person with feelings, but as a utility. They see your boundaries as inconveniences to be dismantled. It is a calculated, often subconscious effort to keep you small so they can feel large. They think that by pushing you, they are testing your loyalty. In reality, they are slowly killing the very thing that sustains their ego. Think of their behavior as a frantic dance to distract themselves from their own self-loathing. They project their darkest impulses onto you because they cannot face them. When you are quiet and empathetic, you are a safe container for their filth. But the moment you start to set a boundary, that container cracks, and the chaos they were hiding spills everywhere. They struggle to understand genuine empathy because they lack the capacity for it. They view your kindness as a transaction. If you are being nice, you must want something. They cannot fathom a world where someone gives without a motive. So, when you are kind, they look for the angle. When they don't find one, they become suspicious, aggressive, and hostile. Their psychology is built on the fear of abandonment, yet they behave in ways that guarantee people will leave. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. By pushing you, they are trying to gain total control, hoping that total dominance will finally make them feel secure. It never does. The more they dominate, the more they hate themselves, and the more they punish you. The narcissist's internal world is a house of cards. One strong breeze, one no, one moment of indifference, one boundary, and the whole structure begins to wobble. They survive by maintaining a consistent reality where they are the victim or the hero. Your empathy is the threat because you see the human underneath the mask, and they cannot handle that level of intimacy. They rely on your predictable responses to their drama. They know that if they provoke you, you will soothe them. They know that if they hurt you, you will analyze why they did it. It is a closed loop of dysfunction. The pushing phase is just them turning up the volume on the drama to ensure you stay trapped in the cycle of fixing their emotional mess. What they never understand is that your empathy is not a passive state. It is a choice. You choose to be kind. You choose to understand. And because it is a choice, you can choose to stop. They think your goodness is a permanent feature of your personality that they can exploit forever. They are fundamentally wrong about your resolve to stay in the fire. Their rage when you resist is a symptom of their fragile ego. It is not about you. It is about their inability to cope with the reality that they are not the center of the universe. When you push back, or worse, when you stop reacting entirely, they experience what psychologists call a narcissistic injury. It feels like a threat to their very existence. This leads us to the critical misunderstanding. They think your empathy makes you a victim. They believe that because you feel for them, you will always be available for their abuse. They don't realize that the deepest wells of compassion often belong to the fiercest protectors of the truth. You are not a victim. You are a person reaching the end of your patience. It starts with a small, seemingly insignificant moment. Maybe it was a request they made, expecting you to comply, but this time, you didn't. You said no. The look on their face wasn't anger. It was pure, unadulterated shock. They had forgotten that you were a separate person with your own autonomy. The illusion of control began to shatter right there. You watched them scramble, trying to regain the upper hand with their usual tactics. They tried the guilt trip, the silent treatment, the sudden projection of their own failures onto your quiet refusal. But this time, something was different. You didn't bite. You didn't argue back. You simply observed the chaos they were creating, like watching a bad movie. That is the internal click. It is the moment the fog lifts and you see the manipulation for what it is. A desperate, pathetic attempt to keep you small. You felt the shift in your own body, the way your shoulders dropped and your breathing slowed. You stopped looking at them through the lens of your love and started looking at them through the lens of the truth. The silence between you became heavy with a new kind of power. Before, your silence was submission. Now it was a wall. They tried to break it with their noise, the accusations, the gaslighting, the emotional theatrics, but the wall held. You were no longer participating in the dynamic. You were standing on the outside, looking in at their unraveling. Notice their body language. The pacing, the frantic hand gestures, the eyes searching yours for a spark of the old reaction. They need you to be angry, to cry, to defend yourself. They need you to mirror their internal state so they don't have to feel it alone. When you give them nothing, they are forced to confront their own ugly reality in the mirror of your calm. They try to escalate. They push harder, finding new ways to trigger you. They might bring up old wounds or manufacture new crises. They are gambling, throwing everything they have at the wall to see what will stick. But you are seeing the desperation in their eyes, and for the first time, you don't feel sorry for them. You feel a cold, sharp clarity. The shift is palpable. You are no longer the target, you are the observer. You see that they are not a mastermind of manipulation, but a scared, small child trapped in an adult's body, terrified of being seen. The fear they tried to instill in you has dissipated, replaced by a strange, quiet realization that they have absolutely no power over your soul anymore. The turning point is not about what you say, it is about what you choose not to say. Every time they reach for a reaction and you hold your peace, you are reclaiming a piece of yourself. You are slowly dismantling the life they built for you, brick by brick. They can feel it slipping away, and their panic is becoming visible. It is the beginning of the end. You realize that their love was only a script, a series of lines they fed you to keep the supply flowing. The script is exhausted. They have no more lines, no more tactics, no more ways to bait you into their drama. You have become boring to them because you are no longer useful. That is the greatest victory you could ever achieve. You are free. They realize that the game is over, and they look at you with a mixture of fear and confusion. The power dynamic hasn't just shifted, it has been completely destroyed. You have stepped off their stage. You are no longer their audience, their critic, or their savior. You are just you, and that is the one thing they can never, ever control. Now comes the collapse. This is the moment the narcissist truly struggles, because they have no external validation to prop up their identity. They are forced to sit in the wreckage they created, and it is a dark, lonely place. They will lash out, they will try to hoover you back in, but the foundation of their control is gone. It cannot be rebuilt. You will see them desperate, trying to find someone else to play your role. They will discard you like a broken toy, not because you failed, but because you refuse to be broken. They are already looking for the next person to feed their ego. It is a sad, repetitive cycle, and you are finally seeing it from a distance. It is not your problem anymore. Watch how their facade cracks when they realize they can't get a rise out of you. They lose their composure. The mask slips, and underneath, there is just a scared, angry, and empty person. This is the truth you always sensed but were too empathetic to acknowledge. They were never the person you thought they were. They were just a shadow you were helping to keep alive. The consequences for them are internal and profound, though they will never admit it. They have lost the only person who truly saw them and stayed. They have lost the only person who cared enough to try to fix them. They will walk away thinking they are the winner, but they are leaving behind the only source of genuine love they ever had. That is their loss. The unraveling is not pretty. They might try to rewrite history, to smear your name, to tell everyone that you were the problem. Let them. The truth of your character is not found in what they say about you, but in how you act when the smoke clears. You don't need to defend yourself. The reality of your peace is all the defense you will ever need. Do not be surprised if they try to come back when they are at their lowest. They are like a parasite looking for a new host. They will try to love bomb you, to apologize, to act like they have changed. It is a trap. If you open the door, the cycle will start over, and it will be worse than before. Stay guarded. Stay firm. Close the door completely. They do not know how to exist without the target. They are like a predator that has lost its prey. They are confused and angry. They will try to find a way to make you feel guilty for abandoning them. Ignore the narrative. You did not abandon them. You saved yourself. There is a massive, life-changing difference between the two, and you know it. The projection boomerang is in full effect. All the hate, all the blame, all the darkness they tried to put inside you is coming back to rest on them. They are surrounded by the wreckage of their own making. It is not your job to clean it up. It is not your job to soothe their rage. It is your job to keep walking away into your own life. They will never understand why you left, because they cannot comprehend the concept of self-respect. They will think you were manipulated by others or that you were simply weak. Let them believe whatever they need to believe to survive. You know the truth. You chose yourself. You chose a life where you are not a tool for someone else's broken ego. They are left with the silence you created, and it is a terrifying mirror. They have to live with the person they are, and that is a punishment far greater than anything you could ever inflict on them. You are free from the chaos. The weight you carried for them is gone. You are lighter, you are clearer, and you are finally ready to begin your real life. Healing is not a linear process. It is a landscape of memories and moments where you rediscover who you were before the influence took hold. It is the act of reclaiming the parts of yourself you gave away to keep them happy. You are not starting from scratch. You are starting from a place of profound, earned wisdom that they will never possess. Your empathy was not a mistake. It was a beautiful, human thing that you used in a place where it wasn't valued. Take that empathy and turn it toward yourself. Be the friend you were to them. Be the protector you were to them. Give yourself the grace you wasted on someone who couldn't see the light in you. You deserve your own best, most tender care. Letting go of the fixer role is the hardest part. You spent so much time analyzing, predicting, and preventing their meltdowns that it became your personality. Now, you have to learn how to exist without that internal alarm system. It takes time, but it is a relief. The world is quieter, safer, and infinitely more beautiful when you stop managing their ego. Find your inner fire. It might feel like a small flicker right now, hidden under the ashes of your past, but it is there. It is the part of you that knew deep down that you deserved better. Guard that fire. It is what will lead you to the people who are capable of mirroring your light instead of trying to extinguish it. You are finding your way home. The choice to leave was the bravest thing you have ever done. It was the moment you declared that you are a person of worth, regardless of whether someone else sees it. That choice was the turning point of your entire life. From this day forward, you are the author of your own story, and you are never going to let someone else hold the pen ever again. You are stronger than the trauma they left behind. You have the capacity to love, to grow, and to change in ways they will never understand. You have been through the fire and you have not burned. You have been refined. The person you are today is not the person you were yesterday. You are more resilient, more aware, and more capable of true, healthy connection. Reclaim your narrative. They tried to write your story, to define your worth, and to keep you trapped in a version of yourself that didn't exist. You are taking back the rights to your own life. You are deciding who you are, what you value, and what you will accept. This is your life. It is your journey. It is your time to shine on your own terms, forever. Moving beyond the trauma means accepting that it happened, but refusing to let it be the destination. You are not a victim of their narcissism. You are a survivor of your own kindness. You learned a lesson that some people never learn in a lifetime. You learned the value of yourself. Carry that with you like a shield, and don't ever set it down for anyone. Look at the horizon. The air is clearer, the path is open, and the weight you felt in your chest is finally fading into a distant, faded memory. You are entering a chapter of your life where you are the priority. It is not selfish, it is necessary. You are building a home inside yourself where you are always safe, always valid, and always truly enough. Never forget that the empathy you hold is a treasure, not a weakness to be traded for scraps of validation. You are whole, you are capable, and you are finally free from the shadow of someone else's emptiness. Walk forward with your head held high, because the moment you stop pushing back, you realize that you were never in a cage, you were the key all along.